Hello people, I am Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
Hey guys.
We are looking at the motion poster for Shikara. I'm assuming that I'm saying that horribly and I apologize in advance if I am, please don't be offended. This is directed, edited, and produced by Vidhu Vinod Chopra in association with Foxstar Studios. So because it's a motion poster, I figured maybe we want to read this thing in advance before we watch the thing. So, what is it to know the agony of being a refugee in your own country? The year 1990 saw the biggest forced migration in independent India, whereby more than 4 million, there's 400,000, Kashmiri Pandits had to flee from the Kashmir Valley. Almost 3 decades later, most have been unable to return. Wow. Shikara is the story of resilience in the face of insurmountable odds. It's also the story of a love that remains unextinguished through 30 years of exile. A timeless love story in the worst of times.
Wow, that sounds epic.
It sounds very timely, I suppose, with everything going on in Kashmir right now.
Yeah.
So let's check this out. Here we go.
19 जनवरी 1990 में हम हजारों कश्मीरी पंडितों को कश्मीर छोड़कर भागना पड़ा।
Wow.
19 जनवरी 2020, 30 साल बाद
हमारी कहानी कही जाएगी।
Okay.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it was giving me goosebumps. I wanted it to carry on because I just want to know more. I feel like these epic love stories that are set against turmoil in moments in history are just so compelling to watch, especially because right now my brain is going, okay, well, why? Because it says it's a timeless love story in the worst of times and they go through 30 years of exile. So is the story gonna be this flashback about a couple who were really in love and then they're torn apart by this forced migration?
Right.
And then their love remains strong for 30 years somehow and they find their way back to each other. I think that would be really interesting. Or
that sounds like the likely story that we're going to have here, is that they just have an undying love and affinity for each other and they find each other again.
In 30 years, can you imagine just the amount of story you would have to be able to tell? You know, maybe they go off and they marry other people and then they find each other again and it's this, I don't know, I do love a nice older people love story.
Well, the more ideal or idealistic scenario is that it says unextinguished through 30 years, so the idea is that the fire was always burning and so they never found anyone else. I mean,
well, they could have been forced to marry someone else.
Or that's also a possibility.
You know? And then it's like, oh no, I have this whole other life, but I never stopped loving you.
There's an interesting comment here that I want to read. It says, as a Kashmiri Pandit displaced abroad, it is already immensely overwhelming and even triggering to see the imagery in this teaser release. To have my community's story be acknowledged, validated, and represented means the world. Growing up watching Gujaratis and Punjabis and the like have a home state to go back to and a language to pass on to their children has been sobering. Knowing my people would never achieve the same feeling of belonging. Watching this, I am somber and angry and thankful all at once for the choice to finally tell this story after so many reparation-less years. I pitched this story to directors like Nadita Das and Hansel Mehta, and they all agreed it needed to be told, but no one could fathom making it a reality. Thank you, Mr. Chopra, Foxstar Hindi, and the entire cast and crew of Shikara for putting our necks on the line and making this incredibly brave move. I just hope this work is based in facts and the endless oral history and news archivals that are available, so it is not chalked up to being simply Bollywoodized or biased in any way. This history needs to be written and told only with the backing of truth. Satmayev Jaita.
And we also were hanging out with a friend of ours who is also a Kashmiri Pandit, and she was telling us a lot about what her family had to go through, and she actually texted me about this and was like, it's taken 30 years for our story to finally be told.
Right.
And it is important. Immediately I was drawn to that kind of love story about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's one way that you can kind of make it accessible.
Right, that's what I was gonna say, is you need something to hang hang your head on, or
yeah,
hang your coat on, whatever the stupid saying is, that allows your even casual viewer to be able to see what's going on and get emotionally invested. Like the story of Titanic, for instance, Jack and Rose didn't actually exist. Those aren't real people, but it allowed us to insert ourselves into this universe. And while being told about all the facts going on, we had this love story to get invested in. And so it sounds like this could be based on something true, though. Like, obviously, many people were separated.
Yeah.
And so, you know, having two people who loved each other that were pulled apart and following that journey, it might be based on a combination of multiple stories, and that could be, you know, interesting unto itself.
Yeah.
So, like, if you go back and watch that Mel Gibson movie I've mentioned a couple times, The Patriot, Mel Gibson's character is not based on one person, it's based on 3 different people.
Right.
And they just merged that into one story for the sake of telling a cohesive narrative. Obviously, this is not indicating what direction it's going. If it's all just pure, as much as it can be, factual, you know, obviously you have to take some liberties to tell a movie, or if there's going to be some artistic licensing to, you know, inventing characters so as to not offend anybody or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay to invent characters. Like you said, Jack and Rose are not real people, but I think it is important to be sensitive and to tell the history as
tastefully as
correctly
possible.
And tastefully as you can.
As faithfully as possible.
Yes, exactly. It is brave. It is brave of the director to make this movie. And the fact that he's also directing, producing, and editing it says to me that this is something that's really close to his heart, because he's really taking the time to have complete control over it. And on the one hand, that could be incredibly good, because then it's like, I was responsible for this, but on the other hand, if there is any sort of backlash, then it's all on him. You know what I mean?
Right. There's another interesting comment here from IK. As a young Kashmiri Hindu who's rootless and didn't really associate with Kashmir but still felt the transgenerational trauma of what my family went through, I can say that our story should be seen by the world. Let the world know how this caliphate mentality vanished the native Hindu population of Kashmir. Hope it's an eye-opener like movie and not an appeasement of KMs, showing them victims of terrorism too, because I can guarantee that is so not the truth.
It seems like this is a really important movie, and like you said, it's coming out in a very timely manner.
It seems like the sentiment through the comments seems to be universal, which is, thank God they're doing this finally.
Yeah.
And please don't mess this up. And please don't let this be Bollywoodized. Please make sure that this is authentic. And so I'm pretty sure the filmmakers can see the comments, and so it gives them a little bit of time to make adjustments if necessary in the editing to, like, you know, curtail, if they're not already doing that.
Yeah.
If the story's not already doing that, they can kind of curtail to the desires of the audience that's already actively looking at this motion poster, right?
Yeah.
And they can see the fears, the apprehension, the reluctance that some people have, which is all speaking to the same idea, which is please don't, you know, glamorize this. Please just stay faithful to the actual story.
Yeah.
Be brave in telling the story, tell it faithfully.
The teaser itself was just so beautiful. I'm excited to see the product, because just the boat on the water, the colors and the way it looked, I'm like, wow, this looks like it's gonna be a stunning movie. And then you know already that the backdrop of Kashmir is beautiful.
Yeah, so I was just about to say that. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that it's set there is, or you already know it's going to be a beautiful story, a beautiful movie. Like, anytime they shoot anything that is Kashmir, it just looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna be a visual treat. I'm like looking forward to having my emotions go through the ringer.
Yeah.
Bring a box of tissues, and hopefully like learn something in the process as well. And I feel like that's one important thing that movies can do, is to kind of put us through that experience and help us to empathize.
right.
You know?
I think that's as much as we can say about this, because I am very apprehensive to say anything else, especially about Kashmir. I mean, India is going through its whole trial right now with the new law that was. I only have like a cursory understanding of what's been going on over there, because like I'm not there. I don't see the media that you guys see in India. Like I'm seeing it through the American filter, and so I don't want to say anything about that because it's the American filter, and so we get our version, you guys get your version. There's just so much going on all at once, including like Kashmir's internet being completely shut down, and so the people have mixed feelings about that. Like I'm not saying anything about anything because I might be misinformed, and I don't want to give out misinformation.
Right.
So that's, for those of you that were wondering like why I haven't spoken more on these topics. I will gladly give you my opinion about a film though.
Yeah.
And you know, as honestly as I can. What a very timely movie. But I suppose this would have always been timely. You know, it's like Kashmir's always going through stuff as far as I understand.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's been 30 years. 30 years for someone to tell this story.
Right.
You know?
So you guys, do let us know your feelings in the comments below. Please, please don't fight with each other in the comments.
Be nice.
If they're like, be the gentleman, be the, what's the female equivalent?
A lady.
A lady. You know, just be kind to each other in the comments, because I know that this is probably gonna stir up sensitive feelings. But I mean, from the comments on this, it seems like everyone's pretty civil with each other,
Yes.
which makes me happy. So it doesn't seem like there's anybody harassing anybody else.
Yeah.
But
Spread love, guys.
yeah, spread love, not anything else. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Check out ACHARA KIRK on the social media, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Jabs is on the Instagram as well if you feel like following him there. Stay genuine, keep it real. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
ACHARA KIRK?
Peace out.